and welcome back to my channel, and if you're new, then a little introduction. This is a place to share stories, adventures, and everything I wish I had known before embarking on them. My name is Drina, and you're watching From Fiji to Here. Welcome to quarantine. If you were with us in the last video, you'll know that we had just gotten off the cruise ship in the United States of America after 10 days at sea in the Caribbean.
Just like that, guys.
This is it.
It's over.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Here we go.
Film it?
Yeah, well,
Oh, wow.
guys, we haven't filmed in a while.
No.
A lot has changed. This is it.
This is it.
On to the next adventure.
Gotta try to get home.
2 weeks in quarantine. Stay tuned.
A lot changed during those 10 days. The novel coronavirus, which had started in Wuhan, China, had now made its way into Europe and into North America, and in fact was deemed a global pandemic while we were, you guessed it, at sea. If you're not aware, I work in healthcare, as do Kim and Emma, who went on the cruise with me. We had learned just days prior that with all the ongoing changes with the pandemic and how to control it, etc., that the province of Nova Scotia, where we live, had mandated all travelers returning from abroad to self-isolate for 14 days upon return, as well as self-monitor for any potential COVID-19 symptoms.
Alrighty. Since I've been getting a lot of the same question from a lot of people, if you're not aware, I am currently on a cruise ship. We're all fine on the cruise ship. However, I will be entering quarantine upon arrival back to Canada. And yeah, I'm healthy. I'm fine. Thanks for all the well wishes. And I'll leave a question thing for the next one for those of you who have more questions. Thanks.
Now, I know by the time this video is released, the majority of the world will have undergone some form of self-isolation, self-quarantine, whatever name it went by where you live. This video is my experience. To start off, we should begin with trying to get home to Nova Scotia from Florida. In the days that Canada was, for lack of a better word, recalling its citizens home, and therefore thousands of snowbirds were also trying to get back.
Story update number 1. After 3 hours being held on the airplane while we were landed in Toronto, we made it into the airport where we missed our flight. We then got rebooked on a flight for tomorrow, so 24 hours when we're supposed to be in quarantine, we'd just be spending in the airport. So we did the right thing and got on a flight to Moncton, where we'll then have to take a 3-hour drive back. Naming the positives. Go. There are none. Story update number 2.
Is it me?
Kimberly, what's the good in the world?
My parents were coming to save us. We had no flight to Halifax till tomorrow night, midnight, whenever. They don't care. So I found a flight to Moncton. We're going there. My parents are probably driving in the car from Halifax to Moncton right now to save us.
My positivity is that they didn't take my little jars of Nutella.
And Emma's being cranky.
Emma is still cranky. Doesn't believe there's any good in the world. So Emma can't think of any positives, but I have one. The only trip Emma's ever going to go on, I got to attend with her.
In the end, thank you to kind friends and their families, we were able to fly into Moncton, New Brunswick, where we were met with Kim's parents and car, and we were able to safely distance and return to the Halifax airport to get our luggage before returning to our prospective homes to begin the 14 days that lay ahead. To paint a clearer picture and foundation for you of my situation, I live in a studio apartment with communal laundry and garbage services with my husband. So the last few days of our cruise, we're trying to get clearance from my husband to begin work from home. Yes, this was before major companies were sending their employees to work from home, as well as arranging groceries to be stocked up on anything else we could potentially need since we couldn't leave our apartment. Not the apartment building, the actual studio apartment itself. All 410 lovely square feet of it. Now, for you guys, a typical day in quarantine. We'd wake up between 10 and 11 every morning and take our time waking up, usually with Dally checking the news and politics while I journaled and prepared my to-do list for the day. We'd get out of bed and get straight to a workout before anything else. You know, those cute bondage-eating couple workouts. Yeah, that wasn't us. They were hard and sweaty and competitive, but so worth it. From here, we'd go separate ways, and Dally would get a head start on work for the day, and I would get started on breakfast. Sometimes taking the time to bake something at the same time. Once we finished brunch, it was crunch time.
Day 4 of quarantine. I've heard it's best if you act like everything's normal. So I went ahead and put jeans on to stay in the house all day.
Dally would get back to work, and I would dive in on the tasks of the day. Sometimes that would be writing, editing, filming, sometimes research, making purchases, updates, planning. There's a lot that goes into the behind the scenes of these videos. Most days, sometime between 3 and 4 p.m., I'd crash and be in desperate need of a nap. Waking up with a whole new sense of energy is when I would tackle the chores. What chores, you may ask, seeing as you can't leave the house? Well, just because we didn't leave the house didn't mean we didn't have laundry. Seeing as I had been gone for 2 weeks and then a week of quarantine as well, I did laundry in the bathtub and would have to hang it to dry.
Okay, so Dally's already asleep, so it's kind of dark. But I have these 2 hanging rack things. And then all this.
The house still needed cleaning. In fact, even more so since we were in it all of the time. I would usually bake cookies or try my hand at bread or bagels, often them failing, but something to keep us going the next day. At this point, it was almost time for dinner, which we would usually sit down together, watch reruns of old TV shows like The Office or Friends. Sometimes we would try something new or a movie we'd been wanting to see, but usually the good old classics would win. Post-dinner, we would spend some quality time playing cards, talking about our future, goals, plans. We'd work on my French by reading through the Harry Potter series in French before heading separate ways for our bedtime routines. Dally usually takes this time to catch up on any videos he's been wanting to watch or articles he wants to read, etc. I would take to my bedtime skincare routine, tidying the house one last time, and crawling into bed to meditate before sleep. A lot has changed since the pandemic was first called, and I want it to be recognized that all of this was before quarantine fatigue. Before we knew just how long we could be in lockdown. Before I knew that I might not be able to see my parents for months solely due to living in a different province. Before we knew the world would be forever changed and how. Which, to be honest, we still don't really know. What we do know is that a lot has happened as a result of COVID-19. There has been absolute tragic loss, devastating destruction both globally and economically, and also locally within our communities. I want this to be a reminder, though, that a lot of good has also been a byproduct. Communities have become closer emotionally, families have spent more time together, and the lack of materialization has forced a lot of people to face the realities of life that they may not have had time for before, or that the societal pressures wouldn't allow them to be present for. I know this entire video sounds too good to be true. And don't get me wrong, there were days that were brutal and overwhelming. Keeping in mind the chaos that is my everyday life, working 3 jobs as well as life admin and no sense of routine, it was kind of nice to be able to slow down and enjoy the time I had. It gave me time to catch up on tasks that I had been put off for so long while I was working overtime and barely getting sleep. It gave me the opportunity to establish routines, like working out, when I hadn't had the time to actually build a new habit for so long. It gave me time to reflect on gratitude and build on my relationships and friendships by being more available to chat with friends across the country and the world. This time really allowed me to establish a strong, solid foundation to run back into the healthcare world with, despite the fears that returning to work also brought on. Oh, and there's one other thing that was a welcomed byproduct from our quarantine.